Good morning and welcome to the Creative Content Marketer. What I'm trying to do today with these series of webinars is try to give the business owner, the marketer, the administrative assistant, the tools and resources available for creating and publishing content. Because content publishing and content creation, production, however you want to format it, takes time, the individual, whether it is a business owner or an administrative assistant helping that business owner or marketer try to develop content, the tools need to be there and they need to be available for them to be able to produce the content. So what I'm trying to do is try to show you some of the tools that are available out there. They're free now, and I think we should take advantage of them. So if you're not familiar with some of these tools, this will be a great introduction to the services that are online and also available, some of them as an app that you can use to create the content. The thing is, I know there's people out there that think, well, I'm not really creative. You know, I can't draw, I can't sing, I can't shoot video, but I'm here to tell you that the tools are getting much more consumer friendly and they're becoming much more automated as well, which by automated, it means that some of the steps that used to take a little bit more of an advanced knowledge to use have actually been automated, and you just click a button and the effect, whatever it is applied to the picture, the video, or the audio file. So some of the things that I'm going to show you is just basically how to get familiar with the tools, just the basic use of the tools, and show you how easy it is to just take something as simple as a picture, apply a couple of effects to it, and then you have something that is an original, well, we'll call it a work of art. Who knows? Maybe it might be a work of art, but it'll be something that you can use for your marketing purposes, whether it's something to use within your blog, which I recommend, or to use on your social media, whether you want to use it for your headers, whether you want to use it for your posts on Facebook or Twitter. All our social media is becoming much more visually active. So having images is a great thing to utilize to capture attention. And that's where we're going to start today, is just something very simple, something basic, and that's photo editing. So we could just jump right into it. Some of the photo editors, and this is what they're called, they're photo editors. They're actually online now. So you're seeing a lot of software going online rather than having to download or buy the software from the Best Buy or wherever, or download an actual software program. A lot of these companies are seeing the benefit of offering either free services or free services that if you want to pay for an upgrade. Just as an example, Adobe, which makes Photoshop, which is the king of photo editing software, they're offering their photo suite online now. And similarly, you see Microsoft offering Office online. It's much more beneficial because, one, you don't have to download your software. Two, you can have access to your account no matter where you are. So if you're not in front of your computer, let's say you have your iPad or you're at somebody's house, you can just log in and use their computer and access your files. So some of the programs that I'll showcase today are just what they're called photo editors. And this actually probably got a big boost in terms of what Instagram offers. And if you're familiar with Instagram, what it is it's a program that you can take pictures, add specific filters that change the composition of the picture, give them either a retro look or a stylized look, and then you upload them to your social media feed. And then you can share the pictures no matter where you are. You can share them on Twitter, you can share them on Instagram, or you can just, again, save those pictures and send them to your friends. One of the programs that I like to use, it's called Be Funky. I know it's kind of a funky name, but I like the way that it's laid out, and I'll show you how to use it. It's basic. It also has an app, just like Instagram. Another one that you can use is called PicMonkey, and it's pt1.com. And it's basically the same thing. You upload a picture, you do basic editing, and then you save the file, and then it's ready for publishing on your social media. One of the other programs online, Pixlr, Pixlr.com, has 3 different apps. They actually have a photo editor, which is pretty close to what Photoshop has to offer. So it's a little bit more advanced. And we won't go into that one today, but we'll probably touch on that one in our next webinar. But they have something called Pixlr-O-Matic, which again is something similar to Be Funky and PicMonkey, where you upload the picture, you add a couple of effects, you mix and match, and then the picture is changed to look the way that hopefully that you're expecting it to. Well, let's jump into Be Funky. You go to bfunky.com, you click on Edit Photos, and you'll see it's just a pretty simple interface. What it does, it asks you where your photo is. So let's say you're on your computer, you'll click on it, and you'll pick the picture that you want. This one I'm just using a simple picture of Vegas. Okay, there's your picture, it's uploaded. So now you have the opportunity to start with the essentials. Now, usually, depending on what I'm going to use it for, you have the crop option. But usually I will wait till the end and come back to this and crop it, just depending on the effects. Now, it really depends on what you want to use your picture for, because sometimes when you crop it, sometimes you crop out some of the effects that are added. But in this instance, what I'm going to do is just do I'm just going to go in and do kind of a custom post. And what I'm going to do is actually crop it for a blog article that we do, or I would do, on our banner blog article. So the size that I usually use is 650 by 366, and those are pixels. And then you just grab the ends here. Oops. Changed it here, 650. And just stretch it. Those are the proportions. And I'll just choose an area that I think is pretty good. And then just hit apply. So now that I've cropped it, you have options to go through here. There's one that's called beautify. So sometimes it takes the coloring and it kind of enhances it and gives it a little bit more vibrant effect to it. Now you can either choose to apply, The nice thing about this is if you do apply it and say changes are applied, let's say I change my mind, you can go up here to the arrow and you can go back one step. So it takes off the effect. So again, it just really depends on what you want to do. You can go around and you can start playing with these things, these different effects, just like you can in any Photoshop editor, and see if there's something that you like a little bit better. And again, you can always cancel it. For the most part, if you start with a pretty decent picture, and that's my recommendation, is to start with a picture that has pretty good resolution, has a pretty high resolution, so you can go in and actually crop it and have options to play around with it. The more options that you have with the picture, the better you'll be in terms of getting an image that you like. So just kind of scrolling through some of these other ones, you got touch up. You can fix red eye if there's if there's people in the picture. Wrinkles, flash spot, whitening. So all these things are elements that you can add, and it's simple to actually take care of this. Is you can choose the amount. So if you wanted to kind of blur the picture a little bit, give it a little bit of a softer focus, you can do that. Edges, if you want to give it a kind of ethereal look to it, or kind of focus in on the center, you can actually shift the focus around. You can choose the size of it, shrink it, enlarge it. Again, these are things that you can usually find in something like Photoshop. These just become a little bit more, I guess, again, consumer friendly. And you have color filters. You can change the color filters. And again, it depends on how much time you have and how elaborate that you actually want to get with your pictures. Now here it even has an automatic Facebook cover crop. So this will automatically size your cover photo for you if that's what you're using the project for. Now if we move on to featured effects, so this is where it kind of becomes like Instagram, where in the past, if you went into Photoshop, applying these effects might take 3 or 4 steps to get to. With these automatic effects, you can automatically just click a button, change maybe some of the settings, and then you have a different effect. And just by clicking on them, it gives you different effects. Now the online version has more free effects to use. The app has a little bit more of a limited palette of effects. So if you did use the app, you'll probably find, and again, it's basically set up the same way, but the effects are a little bit more limited. So again, there's plenty of effects to play with, and it really depends on what you're going for. And then some of them, some of them are better than others. And you can see down here, if you want more effects, this little guy pops up and lets you know that if you want to, you can upgrade. So I'm not sure of the cost for it. It's probably a subscription type setup, but it just really depends if you want to get a little bit more elaborate. Now let's say we wanted to go, I don't know, let's go with something like a pop art. I can play around with this, change the dot sizes. and I get the amount of the effect. So I'm just going to go with something a little bit funky since we are in Be Funky. I'm just going to apply that. So now the changes are applied. As always, like I said, if you don't like anything that you end up with and you have a little bit of time, you can always go back to the original and start over just by clicking the original picture. So the next thing you have is you have a couple more effects. And again, you can apply multiple effects over effects. Really depends on the, what you might end up with. Some of them take a little bit longer. Now, if I don't really like that, again, I can just cancel it. Again, it just really depends on what you're looking for. So even before starting, you can go in and you can take a look. The nice thing is all the effects kind of give you a thumbnail of what the effect might look on your picture. So you do have that benefit. Again, going through it, old photos, you can take a look at that. You can even old photo the retro look. And I actually kind of like this. It kind of gives it an old newspaper effect. So I'm just sorry about that. We had a little bit of an issue. All right. Let's kind of get back to it. All right. Let's go back to the effect that I had. And again, sometimes you have these issues. I guess this is one of the drawbacks of actually having the program online is, well, again, you have this issue happen with software. Software crashes. So unfortunately, what happens is you have to sometimes start over. But let's go back to pop art. So apply that. And go to old photo. And apply that. Okay. So the next thing you can do is you can add frames to it. And what they usually have is they have featured frames. So sometimes you just click on it, choose a frame that you like, and then apply. So since it is kind of old school, I'll go with something a little old school here. So I'll apply that. Then next, you can actually add fonts to it. So if you want to add a title to it, just click one of it and double click in here and add it. So let's see, welcome to Las Vegas. And then what you can do is you can choose a size just by stretching one of the edges here. And even once you've chosen a particular font, you can actually still go in and change it. Gets a little too big, goes outside the picture, you can always move it over. Now, if you don't like any of their fonts, if you're not finding what you're looking for, I'm pretty happy with that, but you have up here, if you click on yours, it'll pick up the fonts that you have on your computer. Now, I probably have a little bit more than the average person because I do graphic design here for our marketing projects. So I have a wide selection, and it does give me the option to take a look and see what the fonts look like. So if I wanted to do something a little bit more stylistic, just choose this. And then if I'm happy with it, hit apply. And then you have the option to actually add little, what they call goodies. The little GIFs, little pictures that you can actually add to it if you feel like it. And you also have shapes. And then it automatically adds it. And then just like the font, and you can choose the blend modes. Now, blend modes are something a little bit more advanced, and you'll find them in Photoshop. And what that does is it adds or subtracts certain elements from the actual graphic element. And again, without getting into a more elaborate discussion, just say you can go through and play around with it and see what happens, and really just kind of play around with it. You can also change the colors too. So if you wanted to have a splash of color, let's say green, just something that kind of has a hidden element to it. And you can change the opacity, and by that it means, you know, how visible do you want it to be within the picture. All right, so I'm pretty happy with it there. And that's just the little elements. Now you can actually add what they call textures. And you can kind of give it some more color if you want. And again, I know we started out with black and white, but you can add little, what they call light elements, just to kind of give it a little bit more pizzazz. Got light leaks. Again, what it's doing is it's trying to simulate basically errors that you might have had if you used an actual physical camera with film. And that's what a lot of these effects are, is just emulating some of the things that photographers actually try to avoid. It's kind of a funny approach, but it just, again, gives your picture that unique quality. Now I like this kind of paint overlay, so I'll just choose and apply. And again, just to reiterate, if I didn't like anything specific, I can always just go back a step. Or if the picture just didn't turn out the way that I wanted to, I would just go back to the original. But I'm pretty happy with what I have here. So what I can do is I can save it. Now it gives you the options where you want to save it. Usually for me, since I might use the picture multiple ways, is I'll just save it to the desktop. But you have the option to save it to Twitter, save it to Facebook. If you have a Tumblr account or a Flickr account, you can save it. And if you do sign up, and you can sign up for an account, obviously you can save your pictures online within the BeFunky application. But for now, I'm just going to save it to the desktop. And it gives you the choice to give it a name. I'm going to say Vegas TV. And here you have the option of saving it either as a JPEG or a PNG. The difference is it really depends on what you're going to use the picture for. Most times you would just save it as a JPEG. If you wanted to have a transparent quality to it, and again, there's certain times that depending on the picture that you come up with, you might be able to use transparent elements where you would develop the picture or create the picture within BFunky and use it as part of another element in another picture. And that's what they talk about when you're trying to create a collage. And that's something we can talk about a little bit more as we get more into the advanced photo editors. And down here you have the ability to save quality. And usually, depending on the file size, you usually want to try to get the file size to be as small as possible and also keep the quality. So for the most part, if you try to keep it around a meg, that's a pretty good standard to go with. So I'll just click that and save. It gives me the option to save it on my desktop. For some reason, it always adds 2 JPEGs at the end. You don't really need to do that, so I just take that off. And obviously ask you if you want to try the apps. So it is available on the iPhone. It's also available on the Android platform. So you're lucky if you liked what you saw, you can always go in and download the app. It's free. You can always upgrade, as I mentioned, if you wanted to, I guess, get a little bit more access, have the ability to store your photos. For me, right now, I think that the free app is fine. So now that I have that done, what I can do is actually go to, like I said, I wanted to use this for putting in a blog. So let me just log into BannerOS, go to our blogging module, add a new entry. And then since I'm ready to actually upload it, let's go to media, just choose upload insert, call it Vegas BV, choose the file, here it is. And just to kind of compare, if you can see this, there's the original picture, there's the edited picture. So I open, and upload, oops, choose category, upload and insert it. And there. So I haven't written an article for it, but this is usually what I want to do if I'm time compressed and I want to come up with some kind of visual image for the blog article that I've written. This gives me a good option to actually create some original visual content for the blog articles that we do. If I do have a little bit more time, obviously I can go into Photoshop and utilize that to get a little bit more advanced techniques if I choose to. But for the most part, I've been finding that these quick editors, something like BFunky or PicMonkey, they provide everything that you would need in terms of developing a picture for your blog article or for your social media. So I hope that actually clarifies some of the options that you have out there. If you did have any questions about what you saw today, feel free to think of me as a resource. You can always find me on the social media. You can always go to BannerView.com and actually ask specific questions about it, or you can contact me through my email. It's bmel@BannerView.com. That's B as in Brian, M as in Mary, ELL @BannerView.com. So I hope that clarifies a lot of things that you can do with these simple photo editors that are out there. I think they're really great. I think you're going to start to see a lot more of these, what I call automated programs that are becoming consumer friendly and allowing I mean, it makes our marketing jobs a lot easier, but it also helps to have the option, if you have somebody that's not familiar with Photoshop or doesn't have the time to learn Photoshop, you can go in and start using these online editors. They're all free right now. That'll probably be coming to an end because obviously it takes money to produce these programs. But as I said, a lot of these software programs are going online. They're becoming app-based. And as broadband becomes faster and faster, you'll be able to see these photo editors become a lot more elaborate, become a lot more automated, and be able to handle larger projects. So again, if you had any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I'll see you next time.